You all right? That's good to see. I'm glad you're here. Let's get into a bunch of stuff that's just happened in the last little while. um, the Jeep Grand Wagoneer was shown today. Here it is. Let's have a look and see. So that's the new Grand Wagoneer. From what I understand, this is built on the Ram 1500 platform, and you can see certainly with that front headlamp looks similar to the Ram 1500. All right, let's get to another one. Excuse me, that's the rear. This is going to be a very upscale three-row utility vehicle. Think of it as probably, oh geez, I didn't start my thing here. I'm running a little bit late. I'm going to tell you why. First of all, because I think I'm just buying something with. I'm buying something from somebody online, and I've been back and forth, so I've been kind of focused on that and not getting set for this. So I apologize. And even though I wanted to make sure we started at the right time. All right, I'll leave that up there. Is it going? There we go. Sorry about this, guys. This is really kind of unprofessional here. I'll get that going. Oh, sorry. Now you get to see what I do when I get set. You get to see the back of my head there. Okay, so Grand Wagoneer. That was pretty unprofessional. Here's another one of the back. Then here's the interior. So this is going to be a three-row luxury SUV, from what I understand, built on the Ram 1500 platform. And yeah, so that was a concept. So this is the new thing in the last few years. Instead of showing the final production version, sure got everything off here, they show a concept. Well, when they do a concept of a vehicle, it's pretty much ready to go. So I think that looks interesting. Okay, Car Cost Canada, don't forget to sign up using the promo code MotorMouth, become an expert member, and find out what the real price is for those vehicles. All right, now we have to get into some pictures of people in their cars. This is Harper Price, and Harper Price has the Cadillac XT5 camping in Ontario. Nice vehicle. Next up we have Fernando with a trailer. So you're going to see a bit of a camping theme here with his F-150, his 2020 F-150. That's a nice looking ride. Then you have Jeff from Southern California sent a picture of this stunner. It's a 2020 BMW M2 Competition. It's like, hell yeah, that is a nice car to drive. And then Dave sent a picture, looks like he's camping, and he's in his Silverado. So if you want to get a picture through to the channel, don't be shy. You can get it to me, Zach at motormouth.ca, Z-A-C-K at motormouth.ca, or if you're American, Z-A-C-K at motormouth.ca. So get those pictures in. Now, what else do we have to talk about before we get into all the questions? So today, let me just find what I need here. So today, I've got to find the right tab. You guys are really getting me. I'm kind of discombobulated today. Today, General Motors and Honda, this is quite big news. Honda and General Motors have formed an alliance. Can you believe that? Honda and General Motors have signed a memo of understanding. This is for North American Auto Alliance, so it's only for vehicles in North America, that will include a range of vehicles sold under both brands and further cooperation in purchasing, research and development, and platforms. This is a big deal. General Motors, one of the largest car companies in the world, and Honda, a brand that has a lot of trust for people. This is a non-binding agreement. It's for co-development of common platforms for electrification and internal combustion engine vehicles. There is no equity being bought or sold from either company. So this is just a straight alliance between General Motors and Honda. So they're going to be developing vehicles together and sharing costs and research and development. General Motors pledged $20 billion towards EV and autonomous vehicle development through 2025, with plans to launch 20 EVs by 2023. The alliance will help both companies accelerate investment in future mobility, innovation, and freeing up additional resources. That's from Mark Royce, president of General Motors. So what they're going to get is Honda is going to be getting General Motors electric platforms to build Honda full electric cars. And then General Motors will be getting access, and they haven't said, but I'm guessing, to small cars again, sedans again, and probably crossover vehicles again. So if you don't recall, in the last couple of years, General Motors has basically divested themselves of all sort of sedans and small cars. They do have some still made in Korea from Daewoo, the old Daewoo relationship. But I think it's going to be interesting to see what Honda can bring to General Motors when it comes to passenger cars, and what General Motors can bring to Honda when it comes to actually making vehicles that are electrified. So there you go. Lots going on today. All right. Now, I have to get into the questions here. So a lot of people were confused when I put up the Grand Wagoneer video on YouTube here today. I just got it. There was an interesting situation. I didn't get an email from Jeep about this Wagoneer. And I emailed my PR contact and I said, why wasn't I on the list to get this information? And I guess I switched email providers, and I think it fell through the cracks. So I got the press release. I downloaded the B-roll package, and I just put it up so people could look at it. So I know it wasn't, a video about the product, but at least you got to see it. Let's eat expired cheesecake. Hi. All right. That sounds good. Mercedes' new S-Class is exquisitely designed and beautiful lines inside and out, but new A8 is true to heart. All right. Thumbs down on the new Wagoneer Jeep. Overdid it on the design. Too boxy. I think you mean ungainly. I think that if you're going to have a Jeep, it's kind of got to be boxy. That's their whole jam. And they trapezoid wheel arches. It's got to have that. And then Kevin comes back and says, boxy SUVs are the best. I kind of like a big, chunky, boxy truck. I think they do a good job. Hey, Zach, do manufacturers tune their transmissions just for fuel economy or for street driving or for both? Well, the first thing that you've got to know about transmissions and programming, for the most part, is fuel economy. And the transmissions are selected in a big way for fuel economy. Why do we have continuously variable transmissions infiltrating passenger vehicles, and why do we have 8, 9, and 10-speed automatics? It's all to the gods of fuel economy and to emissions. So that's why they try to come up with all of these tricks, so they can get good fuel economy, but also to have them somewhat drivable. So a CVT has a much wider spectrum of available gears than you would for an 8, 9, or 10-speed automatic. So much sort of lower first gear, and it can just continue to sort of stretch out at higher speeds. So these vehicles are all designed to hit the tests, which is a city test, a highway test, an acceleration test, a cold weather test. So cars these days are much more about compliance, but they try to serve both masters. I think is the best answer for that. That's the real reason we have all of this technology, is just because they have to hit those fuel economy numbers. Hey, Huge Haggis is here. Luxury SUV shoppers are image conscious. I have a hard time understanding the Wagoneer. I'll have a good first year, but after that, I think it's a sharp decline, much like the Commander. Excuse me. The Commander was ugly, though. This isn't. Let's go back to the pictures again. I mean, it's not the. I mean, and here's the other thing: is when you see it in pictures, you got to give it a in-person kind of look. I think it looks pretty good. I mean, it's got huge windows, which I like. I like the light bar that goes across the Jeep grille in the front. Let's have a look at the back. The back, I mean, it's like every other SUV out there. It's got a bit of, like, the bottom valance looks a little bit Range Rover-y. I don't know. I don't think it's bad. I mean, it's not any different than the Lincoln Navigator. I think it's fine. What do you think of the new Hyundai Tucson as far as the design? I think it looks pretty good. Nate is saying people will buy from established luxury marquees. Yeah, you got to remember one thing though. In the United States, well, we're in Canada, there is still a big appetite for American luxury or American. Well, you see that in pickup truck sales. Like pickup truck sales are astronomical around North America, and I've always contended that the new American luxury is a full-size pickup truck. And if you haven't driven in a fully loaded new pickup truck lately, you don't really understand what I mean. But when you get in one, you go, oh, I get it. This is the new American luxury. So you take that and you make it into a larger three-row utility. Now you're talking. This is what people buy. And you go into parts of the United States, away from urban areas, and even in urban areas, you get people buying trucks like you have no idea. So there's a whole lot of Ram buyers that would probably love to have a Jeep Grand Wagoneer as a vehicle. And then you layer on top of this the fact that Jeep is one of the most recognizable brands on the planet. Like the Wrangler image, the silhouette, the grille, the lights, all of that they have, 75 plus years of history, is one of the most recognized brands on the planet. So in North America, we have an appetite for luxury trucks, like crazy appetite for that. This is piling on top of that. And then around the world, there's a big appetite for Americana. And nothing says American like Cadillac, like Lincoln, and Jeep. Jeep's in there too. So I would disagree. I think it's probably going to be successful. Oh, welcome.
Hello.
Oh, Andrea, come and have a seat.
I'm bringing you wine because
well, you look so pretty. Come and say hello.
Because we're out of beer. I just got in the door from the orthodontist.
Not for you.
No, but for, oh gosh.
For Charlie?
Yeah, for Charlie.
So you don't like this down here.
Well, here's the thing about down here is it's really quiet. I like to have an interaction with somebody right in front of me.
But you have them here in the chat box.
I know, and that's great. You just chat it up. You just read it and chat it up. I love it for you. I love it for you.
So what'd you bring me?
So I brought you some red. Guess what kind?
Italian.
Of course.
All right.
Isn't that all you really drink?
That's it.
Yeah. Okay, everybody. Have a great live show.
What
I'm going to make... I'm making chicken tacos, which I haven't even started.
Thanks, babe.
Okay.
And you're probably wondering, where's Jack? He's at the Friends watching the Raptors, and followed up by... That's a big pour, dude.
Oh,
big pour.
Well, you know what? Here's the thing. I knew if I didn't do a good enough pour, you'd say, "Oh, gee, why are you being so cheap
on the pour?"
So I gave a big pour, and I knew you would say too big of a pour.
That's all good. Thanks, babe. You're welcome. So Jack, our sports fiend, is at the friend's house watching the Raptors, followed by the Canucks, who are still in it, and I hope they win tonight and force a Game 7. I would be so exciting. All right, so Kevin is saying the 4XE looks promising with a $5,000 federal rebate. So if you missed that, it's more news. I didn't download the picture. Is they do have a plug-in hybrid Wrangler. I don't know I don't know if I saw the price on it. Did I see a price on it? Hey Zach, when can you expect the 2021 Honda CR-V? Also, can expect any major changes? Well, typically now we'll start to see the next model year arriving. I would check with your dealer. I don't know specifically on that model, but yeah, they are getting set for a new vehicle to come. But from what I understand, there's nothing imminent. Hey Zach, I just sent you pictures of the Grand Wagoneer. Just saw the new one on YouTube today. Amazing. There you go. Thank you for doing that. I grabbed them too. Appreciate it. Quick question. If you're buying a Macan, would you get the 4-cylinder or Macan S 6-cylinder? Now, Daniel, what I want to know is, are you buying new or used? Because it doesn't make a difference. This is Massey, by the way, Italian red wine. That's good stuff. I need to know if it's the new one or the old one. If it's the new one, like a brand new one, this is a no-brainer. The new Macan S is fantastic with the 3-liter turbo, 6-cylinder, and it has, I'm trying to remember the number, 350, 360 horsepower, something like that. A much, much better overall package than the base model. The base model's fine, but if you have the funds to go and buy an S, get the S. So this is a question. So the Honda and GM alliance is not a merger. No. And this is a North America thing also, right? So what they're doing is aligning synergies. And this is something I try to talk about and give some insight to regularly here. The cost to make cars is astronomically high. To bring out a whole new model, a vehicle, is billions of dollars. Not millions, billions of dollars. So it costs a load of money. And then you layer on all of these targets that car companies have to hit for safety. They're all chasing each other for autonomous in-dash technology. And the big one is for emissions around plug-ins, hybrids, and electrification. So if you can share the costs with other brands and develop a vehicle on your own, using a shared and common platform, it brings that price way down. So General Motors has invested a lot of money in their electric car platform. We're just going to start to see the new releases. So we've had the Bolt for a few years. The new Bolt is coming. There's going to be a utility based on that, and then they're going to have the Cadillac, Lyric, and a whole bunch of others. So Honda is going to get access to that technology, which is developed with Korean, their partner LG Chem. Okay, so that is beneficial to Honda, who's up against Toyota, that has loads of money, right? And then the flip is that they're going to get access to, what Honda does well, which is make small cars, I'm thinking. Okay. Let's go on here and see what else we can get. This is the best comment so far. So GM will rebadge the Civic as a Cimarron. That's funny. If you don't remember, they used to have the Chevrolet, what was it? The Citation? And then they made it into a Cadillac. So that's pretty funny. The Germans, like Audi and Mercedes, have the advanced matrix headlight system available in some markets, but not available in the United States. Why are transport laws so slow to change? This is really frustrating for brands because the current laws are basically high beam, low beam, and that's it. In Europe, they have, and if you're not aware, they have like these fingers, so the light shines through, and these fingers can move up and down and cast a shadow. So if you're the car and the light is shining in your eyes, they will put a little shutter down, and it'll cast a shadow where that car is. So it's amazing when you're in Europe and you're driving these cars, you can be coming right up behind somebody with your high beams on, but the back of their car is dark. Everything else is lit up like Times Square. So it's amazing technology, but it just comes down to changing the rules. I've spent hours watching YouTube videos, and YouTube is either acting like every supercar car is the best or act like it's just another car. Did your 911s ever just become another car to you? Do we idolize cars? That's a good question. Yeah. Everything just becomes a car. It's just transportation. What do you use cars for? I mean, the reality is that most of the time we're just using a car to get somewhere because we need to get there. The dream and what's sold to us in the world of marketing is that Sunday morning driving on a twisty mountain road next to a creek and a river with no other cars and the wind in your hair and, experiencing it. The reality is most of our driving is in traffic, boring stuff, right? So and that's one of the reasons why I sold my 911s was that because of the job I have, I always had another car. Like, so this week I've got a BMW. Next week it's an Alfa Romeo. The week after that it's something else. Then we have our family car. And then I traveled all the time. So my chance to actually drive my car was really small. I only drove it about 1,000 or 2,000 kilometers a year. And it was sitting in the garage and it was worth a lot of money. And I thought, well, you know, I'd rather have the money. So, yeah, it just became a car after a while. Is there a difference between gas stations like Chevron, Petrocan, and Shell? Do you have a favorite go-to gas station? No, I don't really care. Because our Cayenne is diesel, that is a tricky one because I have a favorite gas station I go to because it has a touchless car wash, and we just had our car ceramic coated. So if I want to wash it without having to do it myself, I can do it through the touchless car wash, and they have diesel. So I go to Husky. That's where I go. Now, if you're in the East, Husky is a Western-based gas chain. Honda really needs infotainment help. I think that's what's holding back their cars right now compared to Toyota and the Koreans. Well, I would disagree with that because Honda had, well, the infotainment system, yeah, it probably needs some updating, but they were ahead of Toyota until like this year. Their infotainment system had Android and Apple. You have the lane watch system where you put your signal on and the camera comes on the center screen. I think that the displays are bright and easy to use, and so on. So I would disagree with that. I think that the new Toyota systems are better, but I don't think they're really way better than Honda. Oh, newsflash! There's so much stuff going on. We were shooting all day. I just bought something else for myself. Wristwatch, and then we just, from what I understand, we're getting a new car. We are getting a Honda Civic, and if you don't know, here I have two boys. We have a Porsche Cayenne, and they're not driving that. The main reason, there's two reasons. I don't want them to duff it, and the insurance would be just way too expensive, so expensive. So we're getting another family car that we can all drive, and my boys can share that. So we're getting a 2017 Honda Civic EX with the Honda Sensing Safety Suite, which has the forward collision warning and the autonomous braking. And the reason why I spent way more on this car than I wanted to for us all to share is because here in the province of British Columbia, if you have a car with those advanced safety features, your insurance is cheaper. Plus, if a young driver does get distracted, typically in city speeds, it's probably they're going to bang into somebody in the back. And having that advanced safety system is going to cover their ass and cover my ass and make our insurance cheaper. So that's why we got it. So there you go. So there's a perfect example of Honda not doing things badly. And it's a 2-liter. It's not the 1.5 turbo, just so you know. Cabin air filter recommended replacement 16,000 kilometers by Hyundai. Do you think this is a necessary thing or a dealer charge at $80? Well, I think if you do a little research on your car, it's something you could probably change on your own. It's probably not that hard to get to. If you're any kind of sort of like technically mechanically inclined, it's usually pretty easy to get to. You might have to remove a few panels under the hood or something and then get to it. So if you don't want to pay the dealer $80, learn how to do it yourself and then buy the filter at a parts supply store and away you go. But it is something that you should change regularly. And you know what? For an annual service, $80 is not that crazy. Do you think BMW is going downhill slightly? Most of their products seem less compelling than their Mercedes Audi competitors, and innovation design has seemed to be stagnant for a few years. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that they have they've not upped their game when it comes to the interior infotainment system, but to their credit, the iDrive system is one of the easiest to use. Like, I mean, when iDrive first came out, almost 20 years ago now in the 7 Series, it was a rolling nightmare. It was a terrible system. But they updated. They kept on polishing it, and now it's a very good system, like a really good system. So that is strong. The design of their interiors, we have a 2 Series this week that we're driving, and I gotta say that it's looking a little bit stale, especially when you compare it to the Mercedes-Benz A-Class or CLA in comparison. It doesn't look as good. The materials are pretty good, but yeah, I kind of agree with you there. Further to my Instagram comment on the Crosstrek, do you think Subaru should have a TRD style spec like Toyota? I think that would sell. I think it would too. So I put a picture of a Crosstrek that someone had jacked, put big off-road tires, even had a spare big tire on the roof. It's wine o'clock. It's not beer o'clock tonight. I think that there's always room to come up with specialty versions. I think what it comes down to is that Subaru's not a big company. But I wish they would go with, we've been saying this every time we get together with them, it's like, why don't you have, like for a Crosstrek, why don't you have the Crosstrek and then have like a rally sport version with a little bit more power? Or then they had the XT. They had the XT and the Forester and they got rid of it. Oh, hello, Andrea. Well, you missed her. Sorry about that. Ever since Volkswagen's Dieselgate scandal, the German automakers shifting away from diesel engines and moving towards electrification? Or is this a general movement from all manufacturers? No, you're absolutely right. They got caught with the diesel situation, and they pivoted very quickly to electrification. I think they saw the writing on the wall that all roads lead to electrification. They just pushed down on the accelerator faster because they knew that's what they needed to do to get away from this situation. I've been following your channel for a couple of years. Just want to say that you and your wife make an amazing duo. Keep up the great work. Really love your channel. Thank you. That's very nice. I appreciate that. That is very nice. I'll let her know. Which one would you buy used? A 19 Land Rover Discovery or an 18 X5? Both have comparable price. I would get a 19 X5. The last gen X5 is okay. The new one, way better. So maybe the Discovery if it was the TD6, the 6-cylinder diesel, great engine. But if you can swing a 19, might be hard to find one though. X5, great vehicle. Does buying a certified German BMW car a bad idea in Canada, especially when we keep a car for more than 5 years? Heard it breaks down often once warranty voids. So this is a 19 X5 someone's asking about. No, I think you want to buy it certified, because if you buy a 19, so it's 1 year old, and you get it certified, it's used 1 year of its warranty, and then you've got 5 more years of coverage. So that is the way to buy it. Do all automakers go to hybrid technologies, considering the price difference is not that huge, like RAV4 and Venza? Well, it's interesting because Toyota, I don't think so. I think that there's a lot of car companies that are going to try and go, like they'll have their main cars and then they'll have just a few that are electric to offset their carbon footprint. But Toyota's approach of going big into hybrid is a really good strategy, because they can really affect change with the most people at the lowest price point. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't want that. They want the pure electric. They maybe think it's a more elegant solution. But if you follow the logic with Toyota, they believe they can, with the same resources for making, I think the number was the resources to make one pure battery electric vehicle, you could make 14 hybrids. And that would reduce more emissions than just having one doing nothing. Another recent GM alliance was with Ford to co-develop the 10-speed automatic transmission. That's absolutely right. So we actually said that in, what video was it that we had out recently? It was Cadillac, yeah, the CT5V. We said the transmission was co-developed with Ford, and it said it's like cats and dogs getting along. That and it has been done in the past. They've co-developed things, and it happens quite often in the German space. BMW, Mercedes, and the Volkswagen Group will co-develop some technology. BMW might be declining a bit, but the B58 is the best turbocharged six-cylinder available right now, and the M2 and M340 are amazing. Yeah, it's quite the engine. Huge Haggis, given the decline of auto shows in recent years, do you think COVID could offer a reset button, maybe a year or two off, and then bring back the grand auto shows of the past? No, I think that this is just accelerating the demise of auto shows, unfortunately. And I think that brands spend so much money to develop these displays. They've got to move them around. They have to pay huge fees to put them into the halls. They have to pay massive fees for the labor to put them up, to ship the cars and all of that. It's a massive expense for car companies. So car companies in this digital world are probably saying to themselves, okay, what's our auto show budget for the year? How many millions of dollars is that? We can find prospective buyers and invite them to one-on-one test drives and experiences, and get the people actually sitting behind the wheel of their car without distractions from other brands. And so I think that a lot of brands are really thinking, is it a best use of their money to have this sort of sprayed approach of hoping that someone's going to come to the auto show and like your car, versus targeting the people that you want to drive your car. I think that's where it's going. Which midsize SUV would you suggest for a family of four, like not premium brands? Now, Jimmy, when you say midsize SUV, I think a three-row utility, like a Highlander or a Pilot. That is a midsize SUV. If you're talking about compact utilities like RAV4, CRV, I kind of need to know the difference. So the CRV and the RAV4 are still in the compact class. Midsize would be Highlander, Telluride, Palisade, Pilot, all of those sorts of things. So please type away below. Greatest bowl of soup. What's up, Zach? Subscriber sip, and let's hope Canucks win tonight. I'll drink to that. So I take a sip, you subscribe. That's right. And yeah, here's to the Canucks. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to beat Vegas, but I think it's going to be fun to watch. A lot of people are chiming in on the cabin filter, saying it should be pretty easy to change and pretty inexpensive. You can go and buy them at a parts supply store and put them in yourself. They passed the bulk savings for the... sorry, this is something else. Hey, Zach, what would you recommend for a small car hatch used for a young family of three with only city driving? I would say a Golf is a great car because it's small. It's small enough in the city. It's good on gas. There's plenty of them around. And it's still roomy enough. The Golf is a great car for packaging. It's if you've got a couple of small kids in the back seat, they're not squished. Parents in the front, plenty of headroom, shoulder room, and a good-sized trunk. Now, if you're open to the idea, instead of just getting a Golf, get the Golf wagon. Now that's primo cool. So you get the Golf, but it's got even more space in the back for hauling stuff around. Okay, maybe have a look at that. Any watch videos coming? Well, I think with the purchase that I'm working on today, I've been texting this guy about getting a new watch. So, yeah, I think it's going to happen. It is It's a watch, and it starts with the letter R and ends with the letter X. The Acura dealership wanted to charge me $272 plus taxes for the air and the cabin filter in my TL, and I bought the filters from Part Source and Canadian Tire for $52 tax in. Well, there you go. Come on. And it's not I mean, an air filter is the easiest thing. Like, you could teach a chimpanzee to do that. And the cabin filter, if it's not really really buried in the dash or inside the cowl, it should be pretty easy to do. So this is another question. Watching you for years, what's the deal with the Honda collaboration with General Motors? So it is just that. This is platform and technology sharing to help bring costs down. That's all it is. There's no capital being exchanged. One doesn't own the other. It's just purely a relationship built on what synergies do we have and how can we share costs, and that's it. I was charged $89 for an air filter, cabin filter, oil change, and good oil. So basically only $20 for labor and the rest parts, which is cheaper than buying it yourself. That's a good deal. If you can find a place that'll do all those filters and oil for $90, hell yeah. Which is this is a good question. Which is better suspension for bumpy roads like Toronto, a 17 Civic or a 17 Elantra? The Civic. And I encourage you to go, Frank, and watch the Elantra video I did from a couple of years ago, and I actually mentioned this very thing. And the Elantra has a torsion beam rear suspension, and I mentioned that the damping of the shock absorbers, the initial rebound, was really quite firm. No good on potholed roads. The Civic is much better. So that is a very easy one to answer, but if you go and watch the Elantra video from a couple of years ago, I think it was like a rusty orange kind of color car. If you look for that picture, you'll know that's the one. Hey Zach, would you take an A6 or over a 530? I'm thinking about a 17 model year. Yeah, because the 530, from what I understand, the 530 is that the 4-cylinder? That's not the inline 6, so the A6 all day. Do you think the price savings in EV Prime XSE with tech package is offset by the extra cost of the vehicle over 10 years compared to the XSE hybrid XSE with the tech package? This really comes down to, like, are you like with the yeah, I really don't know. It depends on, you'd have to get out it's a real spreadsheet situation here. How much is the rebate? How much do you drive? Like, you have to really be honest with yourself. What kind of driving do you do? Would you be able to drive mostly on electric for your commute every day? Well, that certainly is cheaper than putting gasoline in it, but you got to remember that the hybrid RAV4 is already very efficient. So yeah, it would take quite a few years, in my opinion, to justify the huge amount that you're going to pay for that car. Now, the upside is, because everything is a dollars in, dollars out situation, how much did you pay for the vehicle and what's it worth used? I think that these primes, if you bought one and kept it for 3 years, would probably have pretty good resale value. Maybe better than the RAV4 hybrid. So that's something to consider. We don't know. It's only time will tell. If I was in the market for a vehicle like that and I could get a RAV4 Prime, I would buy one just because I think it's going to be really sought after. And there's not going to be enough of them around. And if you wanted to buy one and keep it for 2 years and then order another one and get rid of it, I bet you get most of your money back. Not all of it. I mean, don't be crazy, but you get a good portion of it back. Jeff is saying, love your channel. Time to change my vehicle. well, that'll happen if you watch car videos all the time. You get hooked. It's like, if for me, it's other stuff I'm kind of into. But yeah, you can spend money quickly. Zach saying, I want to trade in my 2010 MDX. Kids have moved out. A5, G70, or Stinger GT. I would say right now, today, it would be the G70. But the A5 is a nice car. I really like that, what they call the A4 platform that Audi uses. So it's the A4, it's the A5, it's the All-Road. It's all of those, all based on the same platform. A really nice vehicle. But yeah, I would say the best vehicle right now is the G70. Keep an eye out though, and if you're not in a rush, maybe just pump the brakes a little bit because they've just shown pictures of the new Stinger. Okay, so there you go. And if it excites, there's no change mechanically. It's just a cosmetic thing. Eric the hiking. Rolodex? Yes, that's what I bought, a Rolodex. I'm pretty impressed with the Bolt, but you mentioned that GM is going to build an electric SUV. Are they planning on subcompact SUV or compact SUV, perhaps the size of the Equinox? Well, we don't really know. I'm hoping but both. And I was surprised that Chevrolet didn't just take that Bolt and make it into like a Trax, the Trax size, subcompact utility, fully electric. Just put a bigger top hat on it, is what they call it. And then take that platform and elongate it and make it an Equinox. I think that all of that is on the table. Like there's going to be 20 plus utilities coming from General Motors, not utilities, electrified vehicles coming from General Motors in the next few years. So yeah, I think all of those things are going to be at play. Now, one of the problems you have is typically new technology starts on the premium brands and then works its way down. So you're going to see that with Cadillac, you're going to see that with Buick, and hopefully they'll have some mainline cars like Chevrolet. But I agree with you. I think an Equinox, full electric or plug-in hybrid would be fantastic. Canadian car reviews. Hello from Chilliwack. Well, nice to have you here. Because drive-by-wire, do you see alternatives to the steering wheel becoming popular in the future, a joystick, etc.? I don't believe so, and I think it's all comes down to regulation. Like somebody mentioned a moment ago about the matrix LED lights or even the laser lights not being passed here. So that's why you're not seeing vehicles with cameras on the outside instead of mirrors. Now, for the e-tron, for example, it's sold in markets where you're allowed to have a camera. By the way, it's not better. This is one of those things where it doesn't make it better. A mirror is still, in my opinion, better than the cameras, but it's a style thing. So I really think it's going to be a long time before car manufacturers are allowed to get rid of the steering wheel. We can't even get them to change the color of the turn signals. So, yeah, I think we're a long way from that, to be honest with you. Your video with the Wagoneer had no sound. Just saying. Love the channel, by the way. Yeah, so I told this story earlier. There was an email mix-up. I didn't get the information from FCA, and then my contact sent me the press release, and I saw the video there, and we were just about to run out and shoot, and I thought, what the hell? I'll put the video up so people can look at it. That's all. It was just a picture exercise. The watch is a Rose Swatch, Rose Swatch Odex. That'd be interesting. A Rose Swatch Odex. 2021 Elantra, daring exterior design, isn't it? And keeping with your Survivor series, really enjoyed your Integra and STI posts. They were the kings of cool in the late teens, early 20s. So, yeah, my friend Cornelius, you're probably wondering why the car dealership is called Core Cars, because Cornelius is the guy who owns it. He's a friend of mine, and I've bought and sold, I think, 5 cars with him, maybe more than that. He sold both my Carreras. He sold my Audi A7. I bought 2 Cayennes with him, and then I bought my Tacoma off him. So I've known Core for many years, and he called me up one day and he said, would you like to do some videos for a Bring a Trailer? He was selling a car on Bring a Trailer. I said, sure, why not? That was, what was the car? What was the first one we did for Bring a Trailer? I was the GT500. Anyway, he's got all these cool cars, and I'm going to do one again tomorrow. So yeah, I agree with you. The Integra GSR was cool. The WRX STI was cool. The problem is those cars are really kind of hard to find and get. They don't come around that often. He deals mostly in more expensive European imports. So tomorrow, I'm going to go and do another Porsche 993 video. And he phoned me up and he said, I've got this air-cooled 911. Do you want to do another video on it? And because I own two of them previously, I said, yeah. I said, what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to talk about all the quirks and idiosyncrasies around that car and why people like them. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. But the Japanese import stuff is tricky because they got to kind of fall in your lap. I know Nissan put a new engine and transmission in the 2020 Frontier. Is a remake of a truck really going to happen in 2021? I don't know any. I don't really know any information on that truck. I think that the Frontier was the greatest exercise in blowing a lead, like being up 4-0 and losing the game. Ford got out of the midsize and compact truck space with Ranger. General Motors got rid of it with Colorado and Canyon. The only trucks that were left in that small pickup truck space were the Toyota Tacoma and the Nissan Frontier. Toyota Tacoma mopped the floor. They sold hundreds of thousands of those, while the domestics, and then the Dakota went away as well. So all of the domestic small and mid-sized trucks disappeared, and they left the market 100% to Nissan and Toyota. Well, Toyota basically pushed down on the gas and they sold a crap load of those trucks. Nissan, they didn't let anybody know they even had it. It was like the worst 4-0 lead ever. And they could have sold so many more of those if they had marketed them properly. What do you think of the new Land Rover Defender 110? Do you think, given its off-road capability, it's built more reliably? I don't think there's any more that goes into it because it's off-road capable. The off-road capacity stuff comes from the platform, the suspension, and the electronics on board. The transfer cases and all those things are definitely important. But that is the case with all of their vehicles. So if you're buying, well, maybe not some not like Discovery Sport, for example, but if you're looking at their larger utilities that are meant to go off-road, they all are very capable and share a lot of the same components. So the software and a lot of those things are going to be common to Range Rover, to Land Rover. But the platform itself, from what I understand, there was a lot of money went into it to make that Defender. But I don't think it's going to be more reliable because a lot of the stuff that makes vehicles unreliable is shared across both or the three brands, Land Rover, Jaguar, and Range Rover. And so you're talking about infotainment systems, electronics, all the stuff that are the bugaboos of many car companies will be common. What's a reliable dash cam brand? I don't really, my buddy Brian Chow at Everyday Reviews does dash cam video reviews once in a while. So maybe go and check his reviews out. His YouTube channel is called Everyday Reviews. But that's what I would do. I would just look on Amazon, see what people like. What is the best way to eat French fries in a car while driving and still getting some ketchup on each fry? I think you got to do cup holder for the fry, and then for the ketchup, and then in your mouth. That's probably the way to go. Kia K5 versus Camry in Canada. Will the K5 win in superior value? Well, I think that yes, you're going to get more value from the Kia, meaning you're going to get more content. But buying cars and owning cars, you know what the most expensive thing is about buying a car and owning a car and then selling a car? It's not gas, it's not insurance, not repairs. It's depreciation. You buy a car for 40, you sell it for 10. Well, you've now realized $30,000 in depreciation. You buy a car for 40 and you sell it for 20. you've only realized $20,000 in depreciation. So the car that depreciated less saves you money. Now, there's nothing to say that the Kia will not be a great car. In fact, we did a little video on it this week. Looks fantastic. I'm sure it's really well made. But the brand perception is not the same as Toyota. So it comes down to, what do people perceive the brand to be? Kia and Hyundai are shooting the lights out when it comes to quality scores, but the overall brand's perception hasn't caught up to that yet. There's a real delay with it. So overall ownership, beginning to end, dollars in, dollars out, the Camry's going to be a better buy. Are manual transmission cars pretty much dead in Canada too? Save the manuals. Yeah, it's sad the way this is going. And part of the reason is that a lot of the cars that have manual transmissions are disappearing, like subcompact cars, little cars, like the Fiesta. The Ford Fiesta with a manual transmission was a great little car to drive. Loads of fun. The Micra, great little car, manual transmission, no longer sold. And on and on and on it goes. And so yeah, you're still going to have some specialty cars, like you're going to have the MX-5 Miata will be sold with a manual transmission. You're going to have specialty cars like the BRZ or BRZ, the Toyota 86, those sorts of things. But mainline cars, unfortunately, there's less cars available now. Cars are being abandoned in favor of SUVs. SUVs are crossovers, not the best for manual transmission. So the field for manuals is getting smaller and smaller. Do Canadians still see Volkswagen as a premium brand? I see people comparing the Atlas and the Atlas Cross Sport with the likes of the Q7. Now that's an interesting observation, and I think that yes, for many people, they do still look at Volkswagen as a rung sort of slightly higher than the others. It's the gateway German brand, and because it's a German brand, it gets slightly elevated over many other brands because people perceive Audi, Mercedes, Porsche, and those sorts of vehicles as up here. And because Volkswagen is a German brand, they kind of get pulled up like a high tide lifts all boats. So the German brands, those premium brands, help to bring Volkswagen's sort of perception up. Now, I think one of the reasons why the Atlas and the Atlas Sport Cross are perceived by German car intenders to be an alternative, because I think people buy cars in silos. I really do believe this. So there are people who would only buy a German car. That's what they like. There are people that will only buy Japanese cars because that's what they like. There are certain people will only buy domestic cars because that's what they like. So if you're in that German car funnel and you can get a lot of the same feel and attributes from the Volkswagen and not have to spend $20,000, $30,000 more, but still be driving a German car, those people will buy that. And the thing is that Atlas is the only game in town. The only game in town. If you want to buy a German brand that isn't premium. If you want to buy a Japanese brand that's not premium, well, you've got all of the players. Same with the Koreans and so on. So it's kind of in this unique spot that it's German, but it's not premium. It's the only large SUV like that. What do you think of the Toyota RAV4? I would suggest that if I was in the market for a small utility or compact utility today, it would be my choice. And the number, there's two reasons. One is it's got a 2.5 liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder engine, and it's got a conventional automatic transmission, where most of the competition has continuously variable transmissions, and a lot of them have gone to turbocharged engines. So it just comes down to known reliability. That's why I like it. Where are we with time here? We're almost out of time. Hey, Zach, I like the Kia Stinger. However, do you find that Kia is still looked down on as a budget vehicle? Well, you answer that. What do you think? I think that the Korean brands are looked at as value propositions. So I got an email from Hyundai Canada saying that August was the best August they've ever had in their history here in Canada. Now just think about that. We're in COVID, lockdown, pandemic, millions of people out of work and unemployed, and they had the best August ever. That tells me what I've been saying for months. Brands that offer a lot of value will win in this economic climate. And brands that offer a lot of comfort will do well in this environment. So what are those brands? So Hyundai and Kia offer a lot of value, and people get a bigger bang for their buck. Plus, they're very good at marketing their 0% interest for basically as long as you want. Now, other brands that provide trustworthiness are brands like Toyota and Honda. So instead of, like, you might have been sitting around the kitchen table saying, well, maybe we're going to buy like our first premium car. Maybe now isn't the time to do that. Let's go back and get a Toyota because we feel comfortable with that purchase decision. So brands that offer value and comfort are going to do very well. And you're seeing that. Now, I think Kia falls into that. I think they fall into the, they're producing vehicles that offer a lot of value. James. Thanks, Zach. Well, thanks for the super chat. We only have one super chat today. I think that, back to the Kia question, people who are into the car world, that's you and me. I'm talking about cars. You're listening about cars. We're car people. We get it. We see the data. We see the research. We see the quality scores of Kia and Hyundai improving year after year after year. And I'm sure you're the advocates in your friend circle and family. When you're the car person that they look to for car advice. And you say to them, have you ever considered a Kia or a Hyundai? And they go, why would I consider that? Well, they actually make some damn good cars. So this takes a long time. There's a big delay behind what's happening with the perception. And that is true for the domestic brands. Like, the domestic car manufacturers are making some excellent products, but their brand perception is still dogged by the folly that they had in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Now their cars are getting much better, but the perception lags. All right? Kind of rambling on a bit about that. All right. Where the hell was I? Where was I? Yeah, I went right back to where I was. Hey, Zach, answering the question from an earlier post looking for a compact SUV and compared with RDX. So you're not looking for premium brands, I think is what you're asking. So I kind of answered that just a moment ago. If you're looking for a vehicle the size of the RDX, then the CR-V is in there. But I think that the RAV4 is a better product right now. The only knock you have against the RAV4 is it's a bit noisy. Do you think they're going to have a facelift Grand Cherokee? I can't wait. I don't think there's going to be a facelifted Grand Cherokee. I think there's going to be an all-new Grand Cherokee. If I'm wrong, you and Andrew live on the West Coast. How come most of the cars you review have Ontario plates? Just curious. There you go. That's a good question. So there's a couple of reasons for it. There's one main reason. In the province of British Columbia, where I live, every vehicle needs to have individual insurance. So the car is individually insured. Now, if you live in Ontario or other parts of the country, you can have one policy that covers many cars. Okay? So in the province of British Columbia, if a car manufacturer has 10 or 15 cars in their media fleet that I drive, and everybody else gets to drive, that's 10 or 15 different insurance policies. Where vehicles that are licensed, say in Ontario, you could have one master policy for many vehicles. So it could be, over time, much more expensive to have them individually licensed, which is one of the reasons why when cars are shipped here, they register them in the province of Ontario and have them on the road here for a short period of time. That's the main reason. It's actually a good question. You say it's a dumb question. Maybe it's a dumb question, but is the difference between a Boxster and an MX-5 enough to justify the difference in price? Thanks. Well, they have the same basic attributes. They're open-air cars. They're wonderfully made. They have great poise and handling, and they're probably couple of the best cars on the road. I would suggest that if you got a Boxster S, the difference is marked, okay? Because you're getting a lot more power. You're getting the turbo brakes in the car. You're getting more powerful engine. A lot of nice things in the S. And it just comes down to taking the abilities of a car like an MX-5 and then ratcheting it up so it can do more. It can drive faster. It can handle better at higher speeds and all those sorts of things. So the MX-5 is a fun, fast car to drive, but a Boxster is a fun car to drive faster. That's its capabilities are just up there. Does that make sense? Is it worth the price difference? I would say it might not be, but if you can afford it, it would be the car that I would choose. The Boxster would be the car that I could choose. But if you can't, then nothing wrong with the MX-5. It is a wonderful, wonderful car. I know you've owned an A7. Do you recommend for a family of 4, 2 toddlers? And how about reliability? Well, our A7 was a beautiful car, fantastic reliability. We had 2 things happen to our A7 in 4 years. When the car was 3 or 4 months old, you put the car in reverse and the backup camera would flicker a little bit on the screen. So they replaced the camera. And then one of the pixel lights across the back tailgate, you know, the big red bar that goes across, one of the pixels was out. So they replaced that bar. That's it in 4 years. It was a great car. Loved it. The guy who bought my old car, he's emailed me and said it's the best car he's ever owned. I think it's running like a champ. So I think the A7 is a great car. Now, please do a pre-purchase inspection. Get the vehicle looked at. But what I want to know is if you've got little kids with booster seats and car seats, please try them first. If they're out of car seats, yeah, I would say there's plenty of room. But I didn't have my kids in car seats in the back. It is a wonderful, wonderful car, though. There you go. We're up past an hour. Thanks to everybody that's here. Don't forget to sign up for Car Cost Canada. Use the promo code MOTORMOUTH. What's going on? The GLE is going to be out on Saturday. We'll be back here Monday for more live questions and answers. If you want to get your questions through, go to my email, zach@motormouth.ca, ZACK@motormouth.ca, or ZACK@motormouth.ca. All right? That's it. That's all. Have a great night. We'll speak to you next time.